All right. Oh, because there appears to be something wrong with it. All right, guys. Welcome to the midday update here for today's date. We've got Thursday, May 30th, 2019. And welcome to another day here in the markets. Pretty good session here for the team today. We had crude oil was the main market. Most of the team was trading today. A lot of volatility on that front. We also had some volatility on the SPOs. We were looking for a failed breakout above that overnight high, and we got that on the session today. And we're seeing a bit of a sell-off on the back of that. So let's get started with regards to some of the news drivers for the session. You might notice I'm on a different terminal today, and I'm sitting on Georgie's terminal, so I appreciate any patience you guys can afford me while I try to get everything going here. So US session, Georgie covered a majority of the economic releases that came out. Most notably, the Q1 preliminary GDP for the US came out, the quarter over quarter figures at 3.1% versus 3% expected. And we also had personal consumption coming in at 1.3% versus 1.2% expected. A couple of other figures came out of the States as well. However, those are low impact figures and not too much in terms of market driving news. The other main market driving news that we had today was that EIA crude oil report, which was pushed off to this afternoon, or rather this morning at 11 a.m. Usually that takes place Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. However, in lieu of the observation of Memorial Day on Monday, that got pushed back to today, and we saw some great volatility in crude on the back of that. And we're going to share with you one of the trades that one of our members in the room took today. Eric, this gentleman Eric, very great trader. He's been with us for a couple of months now, and we've really happy to see his development. And we're going to go walk through this one trade with you guys as an example here. So with that being said, let me take a switching, or rather let me switch the screens over to the charts here, and we will go from there. So this is my screen one. Awesome. All right, so what you guys should be seeing now is that screen. What's in front of you here is the S&P 500. So we're going to do a little bit of different just because Georgia's setup is different. So we'll just cover the SPOs, we'll cover oil, and then we will sign off for the session today here. So first things first, on the SPOs, you're seeing here on the left-hand side, we are coming into that pivot right around that 84. Kind of tested it once, didn't quite press up to that R1, but now we are pressing into that pivot. Oh man, I don't know what all these are. Pressing into that pivot, and we're looking for that to hold a support 2784. As you can see, 5-day volume profile point of control here, and we are starting to see some rotations around that level. So we'll see what happens from there. Wouldn't be looking too short from this level. Rather, would look to see if we can get a press back up to that VWAP Globex right around the 2790s. And from there, we can look to potentially short this thing, maybe even up to the overnight highs if we can get up there. So that's what I'm watching for on the SPOs. To the downside, I'm seeing previous day close here at the 81 halves. And if we can get back below that, we've got the overnight lows in target at the 76, 75s. So those are some of the levels you can look for price action today. If we do rotate up into that open and the overnight low again, that could be a pretty good short idea. And alternatively, if we come into this previous day close, start to rotate around here, hold support, and these bids down here start stepping up, we can look to press this market a little bit higher. So that's what I'm seeing there on the S&P 500. As long as we remain above that pivot, that should be pretty good support. So that's what we got on SPOs. On the crude oil futures, oh man, this thing's not going to let me drag it, is it? There it is. So crude oil futures, there's a crude oil chart right there. And what you're seeing here at the moment is we had crude open up around those 59.10s. Been pretty bearish right off the open. We had a little bit of a sell, rotate back into the open, and I think we had the opening range trade here. So sell off the open. You had overnight low here at the 58.70s. Sell off the open, rotation. Buyers unable to press this thing above, and you can see that that rotation fell right into that overnight low. And then around the time of the crude oil report, which was around 11 a.m. And this thing's really not working with me today. Around 11 a.m., we were right around that overnight low. So right around 11 a.m., we're at this overnight low. Crude oil report came out. That crude oil report came out pretty mixed on the session. Crude oil itself, we saw a bit less. We saw a draw of minus 0.3 million barrels. However, the forecasted amount was minus 1 million barrels. So granted, we did come in with a draw. The draw was slightly less than we expected. So bullish, but not as bullish as it could be. Gasoline, however, we were expecting a minus 1 million barrel reading. We came in at a 2.2 million draw, rather a build. So that is negative. That is bearish on the gasoline front. And distillates, we were expecting 0.5 million barrels, and it came in at minus 1.6, which is bullish on that front. So distillates, the most bullish of the three reports. Gasoline bearish and crude slightly bullish. So overall mixed, but what you're seeing here is the market is telling you that the market took this relatively bearish, and that's what we're kind of seeing here at the moment. So we had crude oil report. That's what resulted in this move lower. And then in the room, we're looking to qualify rotations back, rather pullbacks into the overall trend, which is around here. You can see that worked once, twice, 3 times. And now we're currently pressing off of these lows at the 57.30s, looking to press higher. I could see us pressing back into these 57.80s, right into this level here. And I do not know how Georgie uses this mouse. Right into that level there around the 57.80s, comes up in there, rotates a couple times, similar to what you saw here for another potential press. I am seeing some pretty big bids sitting around that 57 and that previous day low here around the 56.88. So that's what we got on both of these markets for you guys for today. A little bit of a shorter update here for you guys, and we're just going to wrap this off with the announcement that I mentioned yesterday, in the fact that our subscription prices are going to be raised as of midnight on Monday, June the 3rd. So if you guys have been sitting on the sidelines waiting to join the team, no better time than now. This will be the cheapest that you're going to be getting those prices going forward. So definitely something to look into. If you don't like what we offer, you have a 14-day 100% back money guarantee, meaning you've got virtually risk-free option here. You don't get that in the markets anywhere else. So highly suggest you guys take a look into that. And further to that, we have set up a Q&A session on YouTube tomorrow. So in lieu of the afternoon update, what we're going to do is we are going to do a live Q&A session. So anybody that's watching this, and if you've had any questions about TRADEPRO Academy, what we offer, what our courses are like, anything with regards to that, this is going to be where you're going to want to be and where you're going to want to have those questions. So make sure to get your questions ready for tomorrow. Make sure to subscribe and check that notification bell so that when we do go live, you can go ahead and get notified when we are recording live. So with that being said, that's going to be a quick sign off for today's session. Look to sell rips on crude and look to do the same on the S&P 500, so long as we remain below that overnight high at the 2793s. So that's what we got for you guys today. A bit of a quicker update. Until tomorrow, get those questions ready. If you will be trading into the latter end of the session, remember our 3 rules. Be patient, be disciplined, and be diligent. Until tomorrow, guys, good luck and good trading. Have a good one. Take care. Bye, guys. Bye.